How we doing, guys?
Good. How are you, Frank?
I'm awesome. Awesome. Cannot complain.
Hey,
So,
with Martin's gone, and he was such a big part of the offensive success down the stretch, and then Jiraiya gone as well. It
Mhm.
seems like you have a lot of really promising players coming in, but it doesn't seem like they're that body type necessarily. Are you guys likely to play differently because of all the kind of promising guards that you have?
I do think this, and that's a great question, is that our perimeter players, our perimeter game will be better than last year's perimeter game. So much of what we did last year, particularly offensively, we played through Martins because he was our best offensive player. I think because of, the addition of, Keyshawn Embry-Simpson and Curtis Haywood and Keyshawn Williams and the guys, Elijah and Darian and Brandon all coming back, our perimeter game will be the strength of our team. Now, with our post play, with Manny, who will make improvements from last year, and an addition of Ray, who I think is, when you talk about body type, he's 6'9", 240, and he's 7'5" wingspan. He has a chance to give us some good productivity in there, and maybe not scoring as much as Martin's. But between those two and Josh Early, those three guys, I think we have enough there. But our perimeter game should be the strength of our team. And I'm at this early in practice and watching those guys, we've got a lot of guys that can score the ball. When you look at, what Keyshawn, I don't know if you guys remember Keyshawn Embry-Simpson when he was in high school. He's a really good scorer, and I think he averaged like 26, 27 points a game here in the state. And then Curtis Haywood, who's very seasonal, started for Georgia Tech. You talk about a guy that's experienced. And then you add that to what Darian Jackson did last year, and he was almost a double-figure scorer. And then Elijah Joyner, who's going into his senior year. I feel good about what those guys bring to the table on the perimeter for sure.
how much different is it, having practice during a pandemic, not just the taking the temperature when you go to practice and everything, but I don't know, how do you have to deal more with the mental aspect of it? What's the biggest difference?
We're constantly talking to our guys about, how we got to move, in terms of, practicing social distancing, wearing your mask and, avoid large gatherings. And, I think that's a big part of, us being able to play this year. And we use that carrot, if you want to play, you'll be disciplined and you'll move the way we need to move in order to get to the wood. I use the word get to the wood. And, I think the sacrifices and the discipline of this team that have made so far have been really good. We test weekly, and I think our guys we've done really good so far. The key will be once we get going and we start playing games. I think here at Tulsa and by and large, University of Tulsa has done a great job with our testing and how we try to manage our student athletes here. And I think that will be key. Once we start playing games and start traveling a little bit, that we continue to practice those safe practices in order to play.
Once you're on the court in practice, though, does it just feel normal?
Yeah, there's no question. I think our guys, we had that stretch where we first got to the court where you were wearing masks and you really, you're still trying to practice social distancing on a basketball court to where we've graduated to, normal practices. And I think, when we get into that, everything's normal. Guys go to practice, we compete, and I feel like our guys are, they forget about all that stuff when we get to practice, and that's good. And you can see our guys enjoying the opportunity. We talked about that with our guys in terms of, over 200 some days ago, this pandemic hit us, right, and everything changed, and then embracing opportunities. And because sometimes what has happened with the pandemic has taught me personally, and I voiced this to our guys, is that don't take things for granted. And I think our players understand that the opportunity they have to compete and play, but because the things that we thought were just normal got taken from us. You couldn't go to a gym and work out. You couldn't do a lot of things that you just kind of took for granted. And I feel like our guys are enthused about understanding the opportunity we have and embracing the opportunity to get out there and compete every day.
Follow on some of that, Frank. You mentioned to Bruce the other day in the video you guys sent out, somebody's going to handle this the best, and that team will be in a great position, and that, it seems to me, that's not just avoiding getting COVID, but it's like your football team now is having to deal with, they should be on game 6, they're on game 2. Like, you have no idea what's coming at you. So how do you go about trying to make sure your team handles it the best?
I think you constantly got to keep talking to them about, we got to be ready to adapt. The team that's able to adjust and adapt to just things that may come up, because you don't know day to day. I mean, and the COVID, you hear different information daily. So there's going to be some things that we've got to be able to adjust to on the fly and be able to adapt to. And that was my message to our team. There's going to be a team that handles all those things that may occur, that may happen, and do it very well. And that's the team that's going to have success. And it's going to be a crazy year. I think, I don't know that, anybody could point to, when you look at the preseason stuff, who knows what will happen as we start to compete and play, because not just the pandemic, but anything, all the things we got to deal with. That pandemic is a big part of it, the virus. And guys, we're still trying to figure out our what our rules are going to be in terms of, how many days guys got to quarantine, and in terms of they get it, and how many guys, all the stuff that comes with it. I mean, there's a lot to take on this season with that.
Coach Haith, you have a good mixture of high school players as well as players that have already played Division I ball. How do you feel, and then the 7 newcomers, how do you feel they're all going to gel with one another as a team as a whole?
It's just a process. I like where we're at right now. I go back to last year. We started off kind of slow. We had some moments, but Brandon Rochelle was a newcomer who was probably one of our best players. We had to find a way where everybody was, agreement with their role and embracing their roles. And that took a little bit of time. So we don't have a lot of time this year. We started off in that tournament in Kansas City with Power 5 schools. But I think it's great. It's healthy. The one good thing we do have going for us is that Curtis and Keyshawn set out last year, so they were a part of our team. And I think with that said, our adjustment, understanding what their role will be a little bit quicker, I'm hoping. I think there's anticipation because those guys, our team saw those guys compete last year, how good they were, and their value to our team. Brandon Rochelle came here fresh and new, and but I do think with those 2 guys implemented with the guys we have coming back, and there are going to be some young guys that will find their way in there. You talk about Austin Ritchie and Ray, both will be, they're the older guys that came in, will be in a rotation. But I think Keyshawn Williams, the way he's practiced, I see no reason why he won't be a guy that will help us early on.
Frank, what have you seen from Manny in terms of his development? And, I know he didn't play a lot last year, but he still was, on the court in crucial times, as in those starting minutes. What do you think he gained from that experience?
He was around. So he Martins was someone I think he really learned a lot from. Manny's made great strides. We're still pushing him to make even more. One thing you can't deny, Manny's 7 feet. He's 7 feet and he's big and he's a presence. He's also very smart. I think he picks up things very well. It's a matter of his confidence and being consistent. Because I think if he does do that, you'll see him taking even another step. But he is a guy that, because of his, what we do defensively, I think he can be effective. And then, when you're that big and strong, you get 2 feet in the paint, you're hoping he can score the ball. Our offense will be more, not as much as we ran offense through Martins a lot, but his offensive production will be more of, stick putbacks or running the floor, and because our guard play will be so dominant from a scoring standpoint.
Will it be a matter of, when he's able to do what needs to be done in a game, then he'll pick up confidence from that?
Yeah, and I think that's when we start seeing, him. He had some moments. Like I go back to Vanderbilt. he was outstanding in that game. So he's had moments. It's that consistency of it with his confidence. But I think Ray is helping that area too. And yeah, folks, you haven't seen Ray, but Ray's size and toughness, and Ray's a guy that he's got a high motor, and I think that's an area we've encouraged Manny to be better at with his motor. And Ray has forced that because of how hard he plays. And I see Manny getting better because he's competing with Ray every day. And Ray's a guy that, he comes to practice every day energized, and that's infectious. And I think that's what gives Manny a chance, knowing he's got to compete against Ray every day.
Coach, have you ever had,
you want me to go, Dan?
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is normally the time of the year in preseason where we talk about pulling momentum or motivation from last season. How do you see that playing out with how the season ended so abruptly for you guys?
Well, we want to. Obviously, we got enough guys on this team to experience a championship run last year, and all we can worry about, and I think this was our motto with our team, is the controllables, what we can control. I think every day we focus on getting better, and then putting ourselves in positions to compete, and all that other stuff will take care of itself. I think we've got to spend time talking about how we got to move in terms of staying healthy. That's important, but I want our guys to worry about their day-to-day, getting better and growing. And we had great experience last year, and I think that's something we can build on, because we got enough guys on this team that was part of that, and an integral part of that. You talk about our 4 seniors were all very valuable guys to our success last season. And then having Keyshawn and Curtis, they were part of that too. So we've got a good core nucleus of guys that I think are really good in the locker room. And I've always believed this. We as coaches do our part. We can't have a bad day when we come to practice. But the growth really comes when you have a great locker room, and you have great leadership in your locker room. You have guys that can talk about their experiences, and now that's when it's impactful. And I do feel like we've got that kind of team, because Elijah Joyner is an emotional player, but he's also a leader, and I've seen it at practice. He and Brandon both have been great with our guys, our young guys, our newcomers.
Coach Haith, looking at your roster, you have like 11 guards listed here. One of them is a guard forward. How many of these guards are going to morph into other positions out on the court for you as well?
Well, I've gotten into that, positionless basketball. Everybody's a guard, I don't think, we when we recruit, we say we play one post player, and everybody's got to be able to pass, dribble, catch, and shoot. So I think that's how the game has gone. You look at professional basketball, it's kind of gone to that, the space and play. So we want even our big guys to have guard skills. And, Brandon Rochelle will play, he'll be, he played a 4 spots, quote unquote, the number 4, but he'll play like a guard. I think that's the way we play. But we got good size. But I want our guys, I didn't look at how we put them in a roster on, but we do stress that we play with guards.
2 things on Brandon. How critical is he to allowing you to play that way because of what he can do defensively? And then offensively, there is some room to grow, obviously. I think he shot less than 40% last year. What would you like to see from him in terms of improvement offensively this year?
Well, obviously, Brandon is an all-purpose player, and I think I look at Daquan Jeffries' production from his junior year to his senior year, and from a shooting standpoint, I think you saw Daquan grow, and I think Brandon's put in a lot of work in that area to grow offensively. But a lot of Brandon's growth offensively would be shot selection, number 1, and then once he got hurt, if you look at his numbers, they really dipped after he turned his ankle. Okay, and I don't know what they were before, but I know it drastically. His last half of the year, he really struggled shooting the ball. And I'm not making excuses for him, but I think that was a big part of it. Brandon will have other guards around him that will help him. He doesn't have to create as much for himself. I think that will help him too. I think last season, look at our team, and we were playing inside out. We played through Martin, so our penetration and creating wasn't as good as it will be this year. So I think when you add that, therefore Brandon will get better shots. So his numbers will be better. So we need him to score. We need him to be one of our leading scorers. We need Keyshawn Embry to be one of our leading scorers, and Curtis. And I think we got a number of guys can do that. But there's no doubt Brandon will be a guy we need to do for him to score. But his bread and butter, what he brings, obviously, is on the defensive end too.
Coach, looking at the conference as a whole, how do you see it shaping out this year? You know, which team, I guess, are you stressing? I know you stress on all of them, but, you know, as a whole, what are you seeing out of the conference?
The league is very good. Houston's always going to be there. Cincinnati, Memphis. Memphis had a top 10 recruiting class, and they're extremely talented. I think SMU will be very good. I think Wichita State, they've got some new players, but everybody's going to be. I like to think and hope that we'll be somewhere in the first top half, but I think our league, by and large, is going to be very difficult, very challenging, and competitive. I see it being better than it was last year. So, there's no question that when you get into league play, you're going to play against teams that are well coached. And when I look at what some of these guys are doing recruiting, like I said, Memphis, I mentioned Memphis, but Houston's done great recruiting, SMU, and so has Cincinnati. So Wichita State, although they lost some guys, Greg's done a great job replacing a lot of players.
Do you like the format being what it is with the double round robin? Everybody plays each other twice.
Kelly, we had a lot of discussion about that. I think there's two things. This is a one-year deal, but I think one, it was the safest thing. We're playing each other and we're going to test a certain way. And, for us to get to that number of games that were allowed, 27, we felt as a conference, it was the best thing for us. But, you're going to get a true champion. Everybody plays everybody twice. Back to my old Big 12 days, the best way Big 12 is, you play everybody twice. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody, our coaches are all looking forward to it, but it's only a 1-year deal. We're going to go back to 18 next year, I'm sure.
You guys feel like there's a target on your back this year?
Oh man, ain't never a target on our back. Well, I'm sure we'll be, we will be picked somewhere down at the bottom probably. But I think we'll be, I don't know. I don't know. I think teams are, every year you get geared up, ready to play, so none of that stuff matters. It's a new year, new team, everybody's, ball's fresh, everybody's fresh start. So, I don't buy into that target on the back stuff. I think everybody's excited about getting into a fresh start. And I've been looking at teams that were at the bottom of the league last year, Tulane and East Carolina. I think those guys made great improvements and they'll be better too.
So is that not something that comes up very much at all? The fact that we were conference champions 1 year ago. I want you to carry yourself like a conference champion or have the confidence that way. Mm-hmm. Is that was last year that was a different team? We leave that there, or do you try and build on it in some way? I guess I'm not even sure exactly what the question is there, but maybe you follow some of what I'm going for.
Okay, there's something I can talk about probably. I think we try to talk to our guys about, the experiences. You got guys in your locker room experience a championship run and won a league. So, yeah, you want to build on it. I've even, hear our guys commenting and about, early on about winning a championship right now in our practices. And I think that has to have an effect for what we did last season. So it's there. The conversation is there. And I think it's something you want to build on because that's what you play for every year is to win championships and to get to compete, to have an opportunity to play in postseason. You're playing for something. And, as we toss it up come November 25th, that's got to be the focus. So, I don't think we want to ever forget about last season. It is a new team, but that team, there's guys on this team that has some experiences that we can build on and take in this locker room with this team.
Coach Haith, I had one more. I know that part of your goal is to get these guys to the next level, playing overseas or possibly in the NBA. Do you see that out of Brandon as a possibility to make the mold to the NBA? Or, what's your thoughts on him or anybody
Well, I don't ever want to put I've kind of, when we had Shaq here, I thought Shaq could play at in the league. And I felt the same way about Daquan. And I know people, when I said it, were like, but I feel like, because I see their talent level, and I've coached guys that have played at that level. And Brandon's another guy. I think he has a chance. Now he's going to have to make some great strides in his game offensively and improvements there. But, PJ Tucker, I go back to this. I recruited PJ Tucker, and PJ didn't make a three in college. And, but now he's a 3-and-D guy. And I think Brandon Rochelle can guard anybody on the floor. And if he can be a consistent shooter, yeah, he can make it in that league, because he can guard anybody on the floor. And, Daquan has become that too. Daquan has become a guy that is a 3-and-D guy. He's got the gifts talent-wise, athletically. I think Brandon has that kind of talent. Now, he still has some growth. He has some things he's got to get better at, and hopefully, he'll be able to do that this year.
Did PJ Tucker ever commit a foul in college? Because I don't think he thinks he ever commits a foul in the NBA.
I talked to him when he was in the bubble, man. That sucker was all. You're right. His he didn't foul much. He liked the physical game. So he would have been great in the 90s. The Piston teams, right?
No doubt.
Anything else for Coach?
Hey, I appreciate you guys being here today.
Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.
Mhm.
Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Coach.